Good morning and welcome to today's verse. Today's verse comes to us from the book of 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel 17, verse 29. And it says, "And David said, what have I done now? Is there not a cause?" Happy Memorial's Day. As we remember those that have laid down their life in defense of our country, sometimes the question comes to mind, why are people willing to fight in their nation's wars and even lay down their life if necessary? I think the answer to that question is given to us in today's verse, an answer that was given by a young shepherd boy more than 2,000 years ago, a young shepherd boy that one day would become Israel's greatest king. There was a time when a great battle took place between the nation of Israel and the Philistines. And the Philistines had this champion by the name of Goliath. And for 40 days and for 40 nights, Goliath would step forth between the two armies in the valley. He would issue a challenge to the nation of Israel, saying, "Send forth a man that will fight against me. And if he defeats me, then we would become your servants. But if I defeat him, then you all, the nation of Israel, will become our servants." So a challenge that was sent forth one-on-one, a mano, winner takes all. But the children of Israel were paralyzed at the very sight of Goliath because he was a giant of a man. I mean, literally, he was a giant. He was over 9 feet tall. Have you ever been so afraid of something that you couldn't move, that you just froze in your tracks? Have you ever been faced by a charging bear, or maybe you stepped in front of oncoming traffic, or maybe you had somebody to point a gun in your face? If you have, then you know what I mean by being just paralyzed with fear. And so it was with the army of Israel. That is, until a young shepherd boy by the name of David showed up, and he heard the challenge coming from Goliath day by day. And David said, "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he defies the armies of the living God?" For David, it was more of an insult against God than it was against the armies of Israel. And so when the soldiers on the line heard David speaking, they told him, "Listen, this is what the King Saul will do for the one that goes and fight and defeats the giant." But when David's brothers heard it, they were jealous of David and they began to rebuke him. And David's answer or question to them was this: "What have I done now? Is there not a cause?" I think it is the implied answer to the second question David asked, "Is there not a cause?" is yes, it is the very reason why men and women, why people are willing to stand to fight and yes, lay down their life if necessary, because there is a cause. And you know, because there was a cause, there is a cause, that God sent forth his son into this world to die for you and for me, to pay our sin debt once and for all. Nobody could have done it other than the Lord himself. There was a cause, there is a cause. And he paid the sin debt once and for all. To God be the glory for the great things he has done. I pray that you would meditate upon this verse. It would be a word of encouragement to you today as you go throughout your day. Sunday is coming, so make sure that you enter into a place of worship. You depart to serve, and then Monday morning, Memorial's Day, God's willing, we'll see you right back here on today's verse. Amen. God bless your hearts.